Yo! This is a review of a bunch of flashcards that we've been doing with Nuxalk, where as much as possible add in the signs that we've also been using, but I don't have all of them. First, Sunknich. This is food. Sunknich. There's two ways of saying food in Nuxalk. Sunknich and knichim. We use this word in the Nuxalk prayer when we say, Stutwani duch ala sunknichich ats. Thank you for this food of ours. Sunknichich, our food. That's sunknich. Second one is squilats. Kind of a harder word. Squilats. This means crushed berries or the juice of berries. It can also mean wine. So squilats. Squilats is like to crush berries. Squilats is the result of that. So the juice. Squilats. All right. Next word. Cheese. Not a hard word. Cheese. And the sign is this. Cheese. I'm just going to review it here once. Yeah. Cheese. All right. Next word. This is also an easy word. Tsalis. Tsalis. Like I said, not the hardest word in the world. Tsalis. And the sign for a cherry with tsalis is pinky out. Tsalis. Tsalis. So I say, anaikts alaga tsalis. I want some cherries. Stamksteich, tsalitich, tsalisteich. What is that? It's a cherry. Here we have milk. Another easy one. Milk, spelled M-L-K. And the sign is pretty easy. Milking a cow. Milk. Milk, milk. Anaikt like a milk. Although people say anaikt gesasa. Milk, same thing. Next one. Potyas. Potyas. Now, this is not a word we can get a sign for. Probably just have to spell it eventually if we ever do use a sign for it. But potyas. Ways of using that. I want to have some tea. Is tea alust? So next like a potyas. I want to have some tea. I like to get some potyas. Stamksteich, potyas. It's spelled, you can see it there. Potyas. Potyas. I got numbers written on here. Potyas. I'm trying to think of another one. When I'm gathering potyas, let's say ich tsai. Look at ich, I-L-H, ich tsai. Ich tsai hya potyas. Ich tsai hya potyas. I'm gathering some potyas. Next one is stas. Stas. And this means salt. And the sign for salt is quite interesting. You take your hands and stas. Stas. There's a joke about a guy who was learning Nuxalk back in the day. I think he was a Scottish guy, and he said, could you pass the salt, please? Or you could say at the table, you might say, hey, a nikes gus. I want some salt. This is also related to the word for bottle. You see the bottle that it's in there? We say when you get rock salt, it kind of crystallizes, it's clear. We talk about these clear glass jars as salse. So it'd be salse, like salse rock, salt sides. So it's the same word, salse. Here we got kla, water. And you can see it's in a cup. We have kla in a cup. Now in sign language they use the symbol W for water, kla, water. But because obviously we don't call kla water, we just use the cup symbol, drinking symbol. We use the same symbol for water as for drink. Kla. Klateich. Ways of using it, stamksteich, klateich, that's water. Anaikts kla, I want water. Some klats, I'm thirsty. Is kla alust, I want to drink some water. Or anaikts ska kachlats hya kla, I want to drink some water. Next, at, no sign for at. And a good way of using it would be kanusyam wa'at. Kanusyam wa'at. It's delicious. Or for some people, kanusyam. Kanusyam wa'at. Here we've got sapleen, which is bread. Now there's some challenges to sapleen because different families use the word sapleen a little bit differently. And the sign for bread is like this. It almost looks like you've got a loaf and you're slicing off of it. Sapleen. Now one of the challenges that in Nuxalk, sapleen is the word for bread. It's also the word for flour. So if I were to have some sapleen, some flour, it would be the same word as for sapleen for biscuits, or sapleen for this is what I call baked bannock, or bannock, sapleen. Now for some families we use a word which is like to rise, meaning a loaf of bread that rises. But other people call that sapleen as well. So you basically have two words, like a and then sapleen. Now when you have crackers, we actually have a word for this. This is specifically what used to be known as, what do they call them, biscuits, or I forget the name, biscuits. These nice round biscuits, they call them ashulchulosh, which looks like they've been cut out. So it's related to the word for drill, or chulchulam, like in a fire drill. Ashulchulosh. So, sapleen, ashulchulosh, sapleen, but a loaf of bread, like a yeast bread, but that's not for everybody. Next one. Here's one everybody knows. Goosey. And the symbol for goosey is two fingers like this. Goosey. Goosey. Now that's interesting because this is the symbol for Ireland. Potato country. Ireland. And goosey. Goosey. So, goosey. Now there's a lot of words that are, a lot of foods that Nuxalk use that are made with potatoes. And there's a lot of words for them, and that's because the Nuxalk used to make a lot of different foods with a lot of different roots. You'd have fern roots, you'd have, I just said all the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. Fern roots, you'd have skeep. These are like, they're called wild carrots. I don't know if you've ever seen these before. Skeep. We called that skeep a long time ago, and today we call these skeep. We use the same name, recycled it. Whereas goosey, I think, comes from Chinakwawa back in the day, but other roots. So you have ferns, other roots. Many of them required lots and lots of cooking, different types of soups, and as a result, goosey, there's a lot of other words we use for like goosey soup and things like that will have its own name. Ashatush. Goosey. Kanusyam wa goosey. Now this, I'm going to just, well, I won't, yeah, let's do it. Okay. Shp is to put something in something, like pack it in. Anushpik is to pack it into a jar. Anushpigim is jarred food. Anushpigim wa sumshk. So this would be Anushpigim wa sumshk. Jarred salmon. We've got a lot of words prepped for, pressure canning salmon and stuff, so if anybody wants to find out, message me in the comments, and I'll dig out all of those and do a show on that. Anushpigim wa sumshk, jarred salmon. Here we have Coupie Coffee. Coupie. Now, something that Coupie and tea have in common is the ability to use Coupie, tea, and kla. They're liquids, and people tend to use a lot of them. Like Willits, I'm pouring it. But the one liquid I want to give you right now is people want to say, "Anaik to like a Coupie, I want coffee," or "Anaik to like a tea." And what we really don't say that. Instead, we say, we use the suffix alus, to want to. Now, you wouldn't say Coupie alus, because that means I want to be coffee. But you say I want to eat or consume coffee, we use is. So, with sapleen, I'd say, is sapleen nua? Are you eating sapleen? I say, do you want to eat sapling? Is sapling alus nua? Or I would say, anak nua like a sapling. Do you want some sapling? When it comes to offering somebody if they want some coffee, what we say is, is kubi alus nua? Do you want to have some coffee? I've been using is. What have I been using? I don't have a sign for is. Is kubi alus nua? So consume kubi, we grind it. Alus, like want or desire. Nu, what? You. Yes, no question. So is it yes or no? Do you want to have some coffee? Is kubi alus nua? And the same thing goes for tea. Is tea alus nua? No, I don't remember. Oh, I think it's this one. Tea. Let's check. Okay, so this isn't tea, it's actually this. Tea. Kubi, tea. Is tea alus nua? Do you want to have some tea? Is tea alus nua? Do you want to have some tea? Or is kubi alus nua? Do you want to have some kubi? Ow, is kubi alus? Yeah, I want to have some kubi. I like to like a milk and sukwa. We haven't got to sukwa yet. Well, let's put this over in the finished stack. Is kubi alus nua? Now I already showed you this with the sump. So here's a lot of different types of fish. And I just use this card to teach the kids. Sumk. Now this is a hard one for people. They tend to want to say sumt, which is like a mountain. Sumt. SMT, but this is actually, let's put the spelling up here. SMLHK. Sumhk. Sumhk. That's a little bit different. Sumhk. And the sign is sumhk. Now we tend to make a lot of other signs for fish out of that. So for example, you have amsh, you have your summer fish. Amsh, which is actually the word for summer, but also the word for a spring salmon. Amsh, you have your candle fish, your spoot, and I'm just using a picture of a whole lot of spoot ripening. Spoot. And then of course you've got your dog salmon, tuli. Well, that's a few. Let's see, apples. Apples. And the sign for apples is this. So make a little finger here, apples. Now, just a note, I'm a lefty, so I sign left-handed. All of you guys can use, obviously could do apples and everything else that way as well. So don't feel you have to copy me. Most people will want to do the opposite of me with each hand, but you'll find that it feels natural whichever way you do it. So I see somebody, I naturally do it this way. Other people see it, they naturally do it this way. Apples, apples. I like to like apples. Auch dicke apples à la souche. There's no apples in my house. Ilk. Now this is something that I've actually got 3 signs for this. So ilk is another one like skeep, which later became skeep. Back in the day, ilk looked like this. Like this, yeah, like this. Ilk. I call it chocolate lily or Indian rice or wild rice. But it's very different than what people call wild rice out east, which is a marsh grass. Ilk. And under the ground, it has roots that look like this, and are really quite delicious, even raw. Like I will pick them up and eat them. Ilk. And today we use it for white rice. Ilk. Ilk. Now in sign language, they just spell it out. R-I-C-E. So for Nuxalk, you could say E-L-K. Sort of like I-L, I love you, I-L-U, but I-L-K, ilk. I don't know if I'll ever have the occasion to sign ilk, but whatever. I'll leave it like this. Let's actually do this. I-L-K. So, ilk. Probably won't ever use a sign for that. But anyways, ilk is both of those things. Now, remember how I talked about the potato soup? Here's a big potato soup. We call it ashatoush. Ashatoush. Now we put this one in just to be a hard one. Ashatoush. So it has a popped T. Oosh. That oosh ending is usually used for things like balls or for, and a lot of liquid things like plum souche, plum juice, ashatoush. A lot of things that mean like wine, like apple souche would be apple juice or apple cider. Plum souche, plum juice or plum wine. Here we have ashatoush, which is like a potato stew. Now here we come to a word that is another sort of general word. It's a word about food, but it isn't a specific type of food. It's your provisions, your lunch, the food you've taken along. So you go on a trip, you grab a bunch of food, you throw it in the seat of your car. That is your sulichts. So it's an interesting word in that it ends in TS, and it doesn't have, actually that TS is probably oots, but shortened, referring to your mouth. Sulichts. And then the same thing would be said of your school lunch. I'd say, Gekswa matza sulichtsnu. Where's your provisions? Where's your lunch? Oh, nani he completes a sulichts. I forgot him at the house. Sulichts. As far as I can tell, I can't find a sign that would mean just your lunch food. Although it's fairly easy to make a sign for the food that you eat at a certain time of your day. Like your lunch would be your noon food, or the food from noon. You could call that your sulichts. Sulichts. Now, here's the thing you got to point out about this word. Sulichts ends in TS, so you're going to say my sulichts. You've got to add another one. So, stamksteich is a bag of food here. Oh, wich ats wa sulichts. And that lunch is mine. It would be the lunch of mine. Wa sulichts. You can end up with 3 in a row, meaning the. Wasulichts. Those are wasulichts. Yeah, that was right. All right, let's see. We're almost down to the bottom of my pile here. Another category of food. It's just after Halloween, so we have a lot of junk food. So one of the ways of talking about junk food is to call it food that makes you fat. This is how Elise Stice would always talk about candy. Called it Nuxalk. So Nuxalk. Means fat. Ilch is to become. Chsilch, getting fat. Nuxalk is like a tool for making yourself fat. The thing you use to make yourself fat. So fat, fattening food. Nuxalk. Fattening food. Next, here's an easy one. Mush. Well, mushats, the mush. I like to like a mush. I want some mush. Kept, nuchski, skach. Oh, how can I have forgotten this one? Snoekakaidir. So kite, this is these are some pine mushrooms, but this word refers to all mushrooms. Kite is a hat. So, and a hat on a stem. So kakite is hat. Kakaidir is a hat head. So it's got a hat for a head. Kakaidir. And then we use snoo at the beginning. I can't explain exactly why, but it makes sense. Maybe because there's lots of them. I don't know. Snookakaidir. So try repeating that. Ik. Kaidir. Kakaidir. Snookakaidir. Snookakaidir. So when I go picking, I say, Upska gash snookakaidir. I'm hunting for snookakaidir. Ich Zeit hier snookakaidir. I'm going to go picking. I'm going to gather mushrooms. I'm going to go hunting mushrooms. Gathering mushrooms. Ich Zeit feels like I'm picking them off of something. Gash is like gathering, looking for, hunting. It doesn't mean I'm using a gun, but it means I'm looking for them. Last one. Skash. Skash means meat or flesh. The sign for it is this. Skash, for the meat or the flesh of something. Now we told the seal story about the skash, the flesh of the seal. Anyways, I think that's probably a goodish place to stop for this one. I've got several berries kicking around here. No, let's do a couple more. First, this will really only be useful if you've picked them. That's high bush cranberries. Stulse. An easy way to remember them is the Stulus family from Anaheim is named for these berries. Stulse for the popped T. Stulse. Next red berry we have. These are the caped elderberries that grow all around down by the Sahuan, by the tide flats, all the way. I mean, they grow everywhere in the spring. Caped. Caped. It's related to how you pick them by kind of pulling them down and grabbing them off. So it's caped. Caped. Then the next red berry. These ones you can see them all growing right in close to the stem. Fairly thick. This isn't the thickest I've seen them growing, and that's Nuxski. Nuxski. Now, interestingly enough, when you're talking about picking Nuxski, you don't say Ich zah jetzt hier Nuxski. You say the word for picking soapberries, I think, is actually sp. So sp is hitting spaknum. It's to be hitting the hands of the branches or of the bushes or the branches. So basically, you have the soapberries all grow in the branch. You take a stick and go hit it once. All those berries fall off. Tap, 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 tap. You can pick a gallon in 20 minutes if they're proper thick. So the word is spaknum. That's the word to be picking soapberries, whereas the other ones we use ich zah. Now the last red berry I'll throw here is huckleberry. This is skala. Skala. It's a red huckleberry. But in Nuxalk, the word that we use for all fruits, so all of these types of berries, as well as cherries and apples and everything, all fruits and berries, is skaloots. Skaloots. And that is the same thing we called here skaloots de nan, the berries of the nun. Skaloots is all by itself. It means a black huckleberry. Black huckleberry, that's kind of the generic central one for fruit. Whereas a red huckleberry is skala, but all fruit together also gets called skaloots. This is sort of like in English. Back in the day in English, the word apple meant all fruit. And fruit was a borrowed word from France. When it came in, we started to use it for all fruit. Then we started using apple for just apples. Whereas it used to be literally, this is a kind of apple. And this is a kind of apple. But now it becomes the kind of fruit. So, I will leave enough crab. That's the end. I hope you guys are able to follow a little bit of this. Maybe I'll go over a quick review through everything just to make it, see if you can remember anything. Stels, enough, wheat. Here, take a look at that one. I don't think I showed that one. Wheat. Skip. Skash. Ilk. Ilk. More ilk. Skip. Skip. Apples. Oh wait, I never showed you this one. This is actually crab apples. Skaloots de nan. Pizza. Sulichts. Sulichts. Sallies. Sallies. Skala. Nuxski. And then sphagnum, ept, elderberries, apples, sapling, 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 ashulhulosh, pilot biscuits, that's the word, ashulhulosh, snoekakaidir, snoekakaidir, mash, nuchsilchta, 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 ashatush, it's from a kusi, spoot, 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 sumshk, sumshk, tea, tea, istialusnua, Coupie, Coupie, iskubialusnua, anushpigim wasamshk, anushpigim wasamshk, and you can use that anushpigim for anything you have jarred. Goosey, goosey, oh, goosey, at, kanusiam wa at, don't have a sign for at. Kla, kla, stas, 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 poyas, poyas, istialus nuachia poyas, milk, milk, cheese, cheese, sinknich, sinknich, squilats, squilats, stutwini duch, damaltach, alla sinknichich ats. Why?